Hey everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. We're here at the Record Parlor in Los Angeles, California, with the lead singer of the band Bush, Gavin Rossdale. Gavin just finished picking on his top 5 vinyl, and we're going to take a deep dive into his picks on Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. I am Eric Young, and he's Gavin Rossdale, and we gave you a very difficult task today. Gavin Rossdale is best known as the founder, lead singer, and rhythm guitarist of the grunge band Bush. Bush became one of the best-selling rock bands of the 90s, and although they disbanded in 2002, they returned in 2010 and have since released 4 more albums. I love this list. We're going to go through it one by one, no particular order, and really dive into it.
But the thing about it is that I've done it for years where they say, give us your list, and you sort of just let go of it having to be like, you're actually just what you think that day, that minute. And
Yep.
So we all change our minds all the time.
No,
so it's all good.
for you, if I asked you top 5, maybe tomorrow, and you're not maybe and you're not in a nice mood, would it be a different list, you think?
Well,
Or there's ones on there that are
I
for
tried
sure.
to get the list that just would like inspire me from the start, from the get-go.
Yep.
There was no Public Image metal box, which was a bit of a shame. But outside of that, I found everything I needed. And walking through a record store is a bit like going through like a hardware store. It's like you go in for one thing and then you notice 68 things that you really needed.
Yeah, I need these things too.
I needed that. So it's a bit like that in a record store. My son, Kingston, was like, you did a show at a record store. Can you get me every Smashing Pumpkins record that you can? I said, I don't know if that's a good look. But yeah, I'll try.
It's like a time capsule almost too, right? Like things,
It's
sometimes
so
you
sweet.
find
He
stuff
loves
that you
that.
forgot
He loves
about.
Billy, and as he should. Billy's great. And so he wants me to pick up some obscure bootlegs. So there weren't any in this pile, but I will be sure to get some.
You grab them on the way out.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go through the top 5.
Okay.
What do we got here? Vinyl number 1.
Oh.
All right, break this down.
So Handsworth Revolution. So this is Steel Pulse is the record, and it's, you know, like when you're growing up, certain records that you know back to front. Like it's like I don't know. There's Earth Crisis, another big record by them, but this is the record that I had when I was a kid growing up. So I know every second of this album. You can drop me in anywhere. And when I was a young punk, that was the thing. The only other music you were allowed to listen to. According to was Don Letts would talk about it, you know, the famous DJ, was reggae music,
right?
Because there was a limited number of punk bands. So what they found is that they would do all these punk nights, and they'd have to supplement. So they're supposed to like put in Cliff Richard in there or something like that, Cliff Richards or something more standard, the reggae thing. And so growing up in London, North London I grew up in, but West London was all the sound systems I grew up with and all the history of reggae that I love. So this record is just like sensational.
Front to back for you.
Front to back, everything about it.
And this is an album that you owned when you were young.
Yeah. I lived down the road from a record store called Manzi's. It's a bit of that sort of Malcolm Gladwell Outliers idea of like, because I was, you know, I had this record store that was literally the first store up the road from where I grew up. Was the first place you could get to. So I would, you know, get my pocket money, whatever, like a, you know, couple of bucks a week, and go in there and like buy stuff. And they would, you know, I'd be like, I want the Sex Pistols. They say, try the Doors.
Right.
You know, you know, do you have the Buzzcocks? Yeah, that's pretty good. Do you want to try Jeff Lynne? You want to try ELO? You know,
started like curating your taste in music from that little store.
Yeah, from that store, they really, really helped me. And that store's long gone, but it's I always kind of hold it in my sort of mind that it really was an integral part of the because I like so much varied music. You know, it's not like, I mean, people think if you're in a rock band or you play with guitars, that's it. You're never gonna like something else without. But I mean, I just think there's good music and bad music, like everyone says, and that's it.
Boy, desperation has returned over yonder. Sodom and Gomorrah, no day after.
This is a cool choice. Also, that it's from your childhood, an album that you owned when you were a kid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. All right, number 2. Vinyl number 2.
Oh, there we are. Lovely Polly. Well, first off, she's just a national treasure in England, and she's just something quite spectacular as an artist. But this record in particular, because that was, she had her first one, Dry, and I remember going to see her in Finsbury Park, and she's playing it, and she played the Jazz Master with the Marshall, which I totally was inspired by. And I got a Jazz Master because she played the Jazz Master.
Cool.
And she wrote this record in 2 weeks, I think in Minnesota in the cold, then recorded it, 3-piece. And it's the most expressive album of a 3-piece where the drummer, Rob Ellis, is as integral to the songs as her vocals, as the guitar parts, as the, everything was just the most interdependent 3-piece,
right,
making this incredible sound. And that's what really, that was it, because it was a bit more, like I'd loved the Pixies, Surfer Rosa, so I knew Steve Albini's work. And this record is when that came out, I was like, ooh, maybe we should do a record with him because it sounds so cool. What I really wanted to do was just have songs like those.
No, you're not rid of me. I make you lick my entrails. I'm gonna twist your head, I'll say.
If I work with Steve Albini, will I end up with Rid of Me? Not quite.
Yeah.
Because you got to write Rid of Me. But I was learning, it's cool. And I had a great experience from that record with Steve and stayed friends with him. And I'm proud of that record, so it was a great choice. And this is another record that I just know backwards. I remember being on a European tour when it came out, and it gets a bit cold and isolating on tour, especially in Europe in the winter.
Yep.
I remember sitting on the bus just sick of myself and sick of everyone. I just had PJ Harvey in my ears and a band called Souls that Steve also did. I went on to sign Souls, and they were a great Swedish band, but so this record saved me on tour in Europe. I remember that. Just
maybe made for the cold, made in the cold and made to listen to while you're in the cold.
Brilliant. He's one of the few people I ever met. When you meet people that are really famous and you love them your whole life, it's so easy for them to be disappointing.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, you're nothing like
you put him on this pedestal.
Who I thought you were. And he was even more than I thought he was. So
that's amazing.
It was fun to know him.
This is Vinyl Obsession, the podcast, and we're back with Bush's lead singer, Gavin Rossdale. All right, number 3, vinyl number 3. David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust.
This was a massive record for me because I grew up with my aunt living in my house for quite much of my childhood. And she was sort of a lot of fun, and I'd be getting up for school, she'd be coming in from going out all night. And so she was the opposite of she was pretty wild. And she gave me this record. And where I grew up, he was a little bit progressive. So you might get a bit, people like soul music and funk. And
yep.
Liking David Bowie was a brave choice.
Yeah.
Because you had to represent for the kind of offbeat people. So
yeah,
it was nothing that any of my friends related to, but it was something that I would play in my room, and I just couldn't believe these worlds that he would create. And when I first played guitar, I had the Ziggy Stardust songbook, so I'd all play the songs badly until it would get to the bit where it was complex, and I would have to tap out. Maybe I could play them again now.
Yeah.
But it's weird because I've struck up a friendship with Mike Garson since Bowie died, and I met him. I've toured with Bowie a couple of times in South America with Bush, and so I met Mike Garson. So I've continued a friendship with Mike, and I've done a couple of songs with Mike. I did a cover of Heroes with him for Music Hairs. And in fact, he asked me to do a song with him. I said, I'd like to do Wild as the Wind, but really slowed down version. He goes, amazing. Let me send you the version that Nina Simone did at Montreux that really informed David when he did it. And some of these things, I was like, I'm not going anywhere near those songs.
It's a big task.
I said, have you ever done Heroes really slowly? He goes, no. I said, good. Can you play it really slow?
Right.
And so that's what we did.
We can be heroes just for one day. We can be heroes.
it's a neat through line through on the podcast how a lot of people are receiving music that was handed down from their mom or their aunt or their father or whatever.
This had this aesthetic
Yeah.
and everything that I liked, and then it was so great. He was one of the few people I ever met. When you meet people that are really famous and you love them your whole life, it's so easy for them to be disappointing.
Right.
And like you're like, oh my God, you're nothing like
You put him on this pedestal.
who I thought you were. And he was even more than I thought he was. So
That's amazing.
It was fun to know him.
Yeah, amazing album. I mean, amazing artist. Part of for vinyl for you selecting it is the imagery, like the album art.
Yeah,
that's
it's
something that
massive
draws
for
you
me.
to it as well.
Yeah, because the process used to be for me, you'd go and get a record and then you'd sit down in front of the speakers
Yep.
and you'd sit with the artwork. The first thing I always used to do with records is look at what the thank yous were. So
wow.
I just would imagine being friends with, whoever I was listening to liked, like, oh, all these people, like these, this elevated social life they got to have. Why is David friendly with such and such a person? You're looking into it and be like, have that FOMO. I mean, I never had it. I was a young kid in North London, so I had no chance of being on the thank you list for anyone here, but it was always a fun thing to read who was popular with them.
Right.
And then read the lyrics and then read where they recorded it and like fantasize about, oh man, he was in, Hit Factory in New York, so, he's a Montserrat or whatever on different records. It's just so you can get a whole narrative going of
it's
how
tangible,
they made it.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's more of an experience, more of a connection to it,
Yeah.
which I think is a cool part of vinyl coming back and being as popular as it is now.
Well, because the thing is, most musicians, especially when you're growing up and you don't have a record deal, just the idea of anyone making a record is like out of reach. And anyone making a record, but they choose 3 different studios in 3 cities in the world, just like, oh my God, this life. Who could ever have such a brilliant life? And so I used to pore over the artwork, and I still do with Bush, and then the worst thing about the CDs was the shrinking of the art.
Yeah.
It's just so annoying doing that.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes. So let's not hold back progress. But still, bigger is better. They were the first band that taught me you can do rock music that's a little bit left of center, a little bit off kilter.
Welcome back to Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. Today we have singer Gavin Rossdale talking about his top 5 vinyl. Vinyl number 4.
It's so wild that you bring that one out, because this was the beginning. Actually, it's funny because it's right on that point. I'm not even joking. This was the first time that artwork mattered to me. When all the other records, I would look at the thank yous or, okay, what's your vibe? This one, when you pull it out and it's got the gold inside, I was like, I was so blown away by this artwork. And this was Vaughan Oliver. I had a different one. Okay, this must be a later thing, because there used to be, it was a gatefold sleeve, the original that I had.
Yep.
And it had what did it have? The image. I'm trying to think what the image was that's so deep. Yeah, it was this image of the girl. I mean, look, this girl, I don't know where you are. This cover, and there was a gold. The cover, the holding the actual record, I think was a gold.
Yeah.
Something had a deep impact on me. And this was
Made it stand out.
This was Vaughan Oliver.
Yeah.
And I got to do Razorblade Suitcase with Vaughan Oliver. He only worked for 4AD, and I commissioned him outside of 4AD because I was never cool enough to get on that label. But I commissioned the coolest art director in the world to do my art, and that began my love affair of doing artwork for my own records.
Yep.
And when I say me doing the artwork for my own records, it was me choosing the best artists I could find.
But having a say. Right, it's
well, they always give me a say, but at first I'd always be like, "You just do your thing,"
Right, you're the artist, yeah.
Yeah, but so that's Vaughan Oliver.
Now, the Pixies, are they like that was a band you were listening to that kind of was an inspiration for you guys? That sound.
What happened was it was
common.
like they were the first band that taught me you can do rock music that's a little bit left of center, a little bit off kilter, and is not, at the time it was, there was like 2 factions. There was like the sort of hair rock, metal,
Yep.
and that whole scene, you know, Guns N' Roses, you know, the most amazing record they made with Appetite, you know, obviously incredible record. But then all those other bands, I'm from London, so that kind of whole thing was not really my jam. And then when I heard the Pixies, it made sense of something earthy and like just something left of center, off kilter, and not about standard things. I always remember with Charles or Frank Black, or Mike, whatever he likes to call himself by, talking about how they're often more concerned. They were more concerned with bowls of hummus than they were with getting wasted off of
Depends on where you grow up, I guess.
You know, Jägermeister. And that's the Steve Albini sound. So when I was in there making Razorblade and I heard the drums, I was like, okay, I can't write like the Pixies or PG Harvey, but the drums sound really like a Steve Albini record.
Right.
This is exciting.
And that's what you guys were looking for. Like, I know you were saying Billy Corgan earlier.
Yes.
And I know he said that Pixies were like inspirational to them.
Right.
To him. And I think a lot of bands, I think it was Nirvana has spoken about
very
them.
much.
Right. So they're
Or you
obviously
can hear them in
inspirational.
those bands. And it was actually Surfer Rosa or the Pixies, and then actually to accelerate it, I remember hearing Man in the Box, the Alice in Chains.
Yep.
When you start hearing all those things around, it was like, that gave me a direction.
That's where I want to head towards that
just
sound.
that's where and I still to this day, like, it's guitars, interesting off-kilter ideas, and cool rhythms, and earthy, big, fat sound.
Yeah, that sounds awesome to me, man. This is a great choice.
You see all ages and at our shows now. Yeah, I had a grandmother come with her grandson.
Very cool.
I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be all right? She's like, yeah, turn it up.
Welcome back to Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. We're taking a look at singer Gavin Rossdale's top vinyl picks.
Oh, my last one. Oh.
Vinyl number 5, Bob Dylan, Desire.
What a record this is. So this is, you know, when I was growing up, I really, because that record still talking about the Doors, I used to have this phrase, me and my friends were growing up, would be like, anything, we'd be like, you know, how late you want to stay out, where do you want to go, what do you do? Well, what would Jim do? So any times we're on the fence about, you know, whatever we would do, bad behavior would always be like, you know, it's about Jim Morrison. And he was the same time of me just getting the book of lyrics and just being like, oh my God, how do you even begin to try and...
How does your mind get here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like, where's that? And funny, because I saw an interview with Dylan the other day where he's saying he was quoting one of his own songs, and he says, I don't know how I wrote those songs, and I couldn't write those songs now. I wrote something different, but he just had some fire in him. And so this record is the first one that I ever fell in love with as it's basically like a duets record. He has Emmylou Harris on it, who sounds incredible. I know there's Ronnie Blakely on it as well, but I love Emmylou Harris. And so this record is just this, it was something about the interplay of the two voices, not being really tight, just being, so it was like almost a lesson in
So different too.
humanity and softness and love and togetherness.
Oh, sister, am I not a brother to you? And one deserving of affection.
Like nowadays when we sing backing vocals, or we have other people sing with us, or I sing with myself in the studio, you get it super tight, so it's all together, and so you can lose something in that humanity. And what this record had is just full of humanity. In fact, when I made Black and White Rainbows, I had a girl, Greta, who's an incredible singer, sing with me, and I model it on the feeling, that same feeling of having the beautiful female voice in there. So this is a great inspiration, this record, and it just set me off on a different path.
Well, dude, this was very cool. I love this list of records.
You know, to see people, multi-generations at the show, at first, when it first began to happen, I was like, whoa, you know, I don't know about this. But then I thought, wow, what an incredible legacy. Because all those, I remember being on tour with U2 when I toured with Institute, my side project band I did, my underrated band. And I toured with U2. And I remember driving in and it was like, been here since the 80s. I was thinking, oh, like, don't you? But then I thought, actually, there's an incredible thing. You know, it's an incredible
100%.
thing. And it's the greatest gift to see kids being brought by family members and all the way through. It's very, very special.
Yeah, generational.
Yeah, I had a grandmother come with her grandson.
Very cool.
I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Are you going to be all right? She's like, yeah, turn it up.
Are you going to be all right? Yeah, turn it all the way
Well, I
up.
felt bad. You know, we're quite heavy live.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Guys, thanks for watching. This has been Vinyl Obsession. I'm Eric Young. He's Gavin Rossdale. I'm obsessed. He's obsessed. And now you're obsessed too.